Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Mr. Sanders?
Here.
Mr. Scalette?
Here.
Mrs. Schrader?
Here.
Mr. Sears?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Tillman?
Here.
Thank you. Reminder to please silence your cell phones for the duration of the meeting. And this is your first opportunity for public comment. All comments and questions will be addressed to the President. Board and staff members will not normally respond to comments or questions during the meeting unless recognized by the President for this purpose. Comments will be limited at the discretion of the President to 5 minutes or less. Do we have any takers? Yeah. Going once? Okay. We have the minutes of the Planning Committee meeting of January 13th, 2020. Do I have any additions or corrections? Then I think they can be approved as submitted. Mr. Sears.
As usual, I'll give you our estimated interest for the month of December, just closed out, just a little over $96,000, which is a pretty good return. For the remainder, we have a consent agenda. Would any board member like any of the items considered separately, or are there any questions on any of the items? If not, Chair moves approval of the below-mentioned items.
Okay. Questions or comments? This can be a short roll call vote.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you. The board met prior to this meeting in executive session as permitted by Section 707 of the Sunshine Act for the purpose of discussing matters of personnel. No official action was taken. And we have filling in Dr. Krauser for Dr. Williams tonight. So,
thank you. Well, certainly my pleasure to welcome everyone tonight. And I'm going to start off with some guests that we have this evening. I'm going to ask Mrs. Stephanie Sullivan to join us from YS Dollars for Scholars, serving as the treasurer, to provide a brief report about her organization.
So thanks for having me. As you know, I'm Stephanie Sullivan. I'm the current treasurer, as you said, for York Suburban Dollars for Scholars. Anyone new to the board may not realize we were founded in 1998 and dedicated to providing financial assistance to eligible York Suburban seniors to continue their education. To date, we've awarded 164 scholarships to 145 students for a total of $475,750. Our students have attended 73 different colleges and universities from 20 states, but the majority are here in Pennsylvania. Our scholarships are often renewable. What this means is we take our endowment funds and the annual 5% from that. We could choose to give it in multiple scholarships. We choose to take those first-year scholarships and renew them each year for their remainder of their college time. That's a choice we've made as a board years ago, and we seem there's still the commitment to that effort. So annually, we're able to support over 20 students. This past year, currently we're supporting 29 students with 31 scholarships. Those heavy fundraising, I mentioned the endowment, the heavy fundraising in that early years is really what gave us that cushion. We have a healthy endowment over at the York County Community Foundation, and that's a lot of stability and guaranteed minimum scholarship money every year. In addition, that relationship with the Community Foundation opens up other scholarships here in York County that our students are eligible to receive, or sometimes it's dedicated to York Suburban students, sometimes it's competitive within York County, but our students often do quite well in that relationship. We are a member of the National Dollars for Scholars network, which is called Scholarship America. They provide us with guidance, forms, advice. They do our tax preparation, so that's great. As treasurer, I like that. And they also have additional scholarship funds that we post on our Facebook page when they're available for anyone to compete for. As I mentioned, we have an endowment. Right now, it's just over $440,000. We have an additional $205,000 in fund monies that are held by the Community Foundation that are dedicated to York Suburban students but don't sit on our balance sheet. And these named scholarships give us a total of assets of nearly $650,000. Our scholarship applications are open right now until March 8th. It is completely an online process. I will say, and I say this to every senior, it's an online system that was introduced about 5 years ago, which means it was beta tested about 7 years ago. So it's not your current savvy tech. It is going to be heavy. It is going to be a little clunky. And because it's part of a national program, we can't really make any adjustments to it. But stick with it, fill it out, because if you can't fill out that online application, we can't review, we can't consider you. We do have control over how these applications are scored. We chose that 50% of the applicants' score reflects their financial need, and the remaining 50% covers the array of things: scholastic merit, general merit, which is activities, work experience, educational career objectives, and unusual circumstances. Someone's had a tough go of it and still managed to succeed in high school. We want to acknowledge that. We coordinate with guidance to promote the scholarships. They go out through Naviance. I know senior parents were sent the copy of the link this year. We usually do a letter in the fall to let parents know it's a thing that's coming. I would also say that it's not a the night before application. There are parts of it that need to be sent to guidance for them to verify and submit. There are parts that need to be sent to the parents for them to attach the FAFSA and submit. The financial need is completely based on the FAFSA at this point. Prior to the online system, that's not how it was done, but that's how it's done now. Again, we're limited in that we can only review applications that are completed. We've been trying to drive up the number of students who apply and the competitiveness of students who maybe want to go on to tech or two-year schools, as well as a partner to the financial need. We have dropped the SAT requirement as part of the scoring, and we found that upped our numbers significantly last year. In an effort to be more visible, we have office hours. We sit in the lobby during lunch. Last year we did it one day a week for a month to field questions, and it may or may not. I think we got 5 to 7 questions over the time we were there, but we were visible, and I think it reminded some kids. They walked by and were like, "Oh, right," So that in itself, and I can say, I mean, even back when I was Indian Rock PTO president, one year we had a program there for former Indian Rock students, and one year we had 1 student apply. Great application, they probably would have gotten it anyways, but only 1 student applied. So I think, some classes get it, and some classes are just not into the paperwork. And so, again, we can only score what comes in. I didn't really follow this, I'm just babbling, which is fine. I know this all. Where are we? So our board is 22 volunteers. We come from a cross-section of the community. We've got Ellen, who's a board member. We've got several business leaders and parents. We even have 2 of your founding members, which has been a really nice source of continuity for us, and it keeps us committed to purpose. And we're one of the quieter organizations when it comes to fundraising. You know us from Bob every other year, and beyond that, there's the payroll deductions with retirees and current employees. We have our names fund. There's United Way. We have, through Scholarship America, you can donate online. We have those systems, but we're not an in-your-face kind of organization. I suppose we could be, but we feel like right now we're comfortable at the level that we are. If we wanted to push and bump up our endowment to more of the $1 million level, we might get aggressive. But we haven't made those decisions. And I did mention Battle of the Buildings. Right now we're in conversations to set that date for next year. We do benefit from the ticket sales, the t-shirt sales, concessions, and the mascot sweep. So keep that in the back of your mind and hope you can attend next year. Last year we celebrated our 20th anniversary, and one of the ways we did that was to host a banquet, not a banquet, that's not right, a reception after awards night, and it was a pretty nice spread in the cafeteria if any of you were able to make it. And we liked the sense of community and that there was an opportunity to take some pictures and connect to all the winners, because we invited everybody. But we felt like it doesn't need to be that big every year. So we are committed to doing that again this year, but it'll be more like cookies and punch in the front lobby. But still creating that space for folks to socialize, congratulate each other, and just acknowledge and celebrate that evening of awards night. So that is my quick. We also have, they rebranded this year, so this is our new look, if you see us around. is what we look like now. And this is a copy of our brochure, and any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you. Questions?
It's fantastic that York Suburban has this for its students. All the affiliated foundations, it's just a great thing for the district. So thank you.
The other thing I want to mention about the online application process is that because students are assigned numbers, we have no idea who they are. And we're grading against a rubric that is completely online. So there's no, and we break into teams. So one team does that part of the application, the other team does that part of the application. So there's no bias in any of that review. And if any of you ever want to watch that process, you are welcome to come as an observer. We welcome that. We just need to know in January so we can tell Scholars of America who's in the room when it happens. Okay, that was it.
Thank you.
Normally I would stay, I had surgery this morning, so we'd go. Thank you. Thank you.
Stephanie, thank you, and thank you as a whole for all things Committed YS, because Dollars for Scholars is one part of your commitment. I know you have a massive commitment top to bottom, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Our second item is, I'm gonna have the wonderful Mrs. Wendy Irwine share a little bit about a celebration we're doing for School Board Member Appreciation Month.
Okay, in recognition of our school board members, on behalf of the students, staff, administration, and community, we'd like to express our thanks to each of the school directors for their dedication and commitment to serving the York Suburban School District. And in doing that, we're going to present a library book to each of the buildings and dedicate it to the school board. So as we're circulating the nameplates around, we ask you to sign those, and then the books are back here that we're going to be shipping along to the building. And we'd just like to thank each of you for all that you do.
And in addition to that, you're doubling your salary.
So the nameplates are being circulated with a pen.
Okay.
We'll put that, so, thank you. Dr. William extends his apologies. He did kind of, I think, catch the sickness that's been going around, so we're hoping him to a speedy recovery. So the superintendent's report for this month is being pushed till next month. At that point, Dr. Williams is going to share the State of the District report, and that's going to include a variety of things such as student achievement data to date, our current district goals, the process of the comprehensive plan, and it's teaming up to be more strategic over the next 3 years, and he'll be sharing that in February. Item D, the Residency Hearing Committee of the Board recommends the Board approval for the residency adjudication for student number 78592275592, student number 3589146796, and student number 68979266515.
Questions or comments? Can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes.
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 Mr. Bozeman?
Yes?
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mr. Spillane?
Yes.
I'd like to extend a thank you to the Residency Hearing Committee for their time and energy put in for that long process, so thank you very much for that. And we have a full house, so I want to dedicate some time to our reports. I see Dr. Ketterman to get us started with the middle school.
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you. First of all, in honor of School Board Appreciation Month and also on behalf of YSMS, I'd just like to express our appreciation for all you do, for the many, many hours that you put in, for your commitment to the kids and to our community. We really appreciate what you do, and we appreciate you even before you get your double salary. I also wanted to just point out and acknowledge that Stacy Houck is here with us this evening as well. If you remember, Stacy is serving as the acting assistant principal at the middle school, and so he might feel the need to jump into the presentation at any time, which he will. So, I just wanted to say, I've enjoyed being back with the kids and enjoyed these 2 months with at the middle school, and when I knew that I was going to present tonight, I thought, what should I present on? And I know one thing that really stood out to me that in my mind just kind of really captures the spirit of middle school is the club program that they have there. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to just inform you all about the clubs that are going on at the middle school. So the clubs meet one time every
six-day cycle at the end of the day for about a 45-minute period. And we're actually in the process now. They have been running clubs all year, and at mid-year they do get a chance to choose another club. So that selection process is going to be happening this month. But I just wanted to kind of paint a picture for you. One of the first day sixes that I was there, I thought, okay, I'm going to go out and check out these clubs that are going on. So as I walk out into the hallway, you kind of have to step aside because there's a whole group of kids that are literally running through the hallway because there's a running club, and they're all dressed in the attire, and Senior O and Mrs. Rodenberg are there as well, and or Dr. Rodenberg, and they're running around the school in the halls. There's also a walking club I know that's starting as well, and I know they will try to go outside when they can, but when not, then they get the opportunity to run right in the halls. There's also, if you're walking through the halls, you might run into a cart with all kinds of school supplies on it and some snacks. There's a school store club that goes around and hits every club up to see if anybody needs any supplies or if they'd like to buy any snacks. I know back in the classroom, there's people that are making posters for the school store, and then there's people that are checking out. They have a big closet that they keep some inventory in. So that's all part of that club. Some of the other things that are more fitness-oriented, when you go into the gym, there's a huge group of dodgeball players, and Mr. Payne is kind of putting a twist on dodgeball in different ways that you can change that game. Another fitness one, I know there's a yoga group that happens for a little calmer type of exercise. In the sixth grade area, that great big lobby area, you'll notice that there are 4 square markings on the floor. So during club time, there's a 4 square club. There's also a fitness club that goes outside, and they do some ultimate frisbee or some organized basketball, flag football, that kind of thing. So lots of fitness things. Then when you start looking into the classrooms, up in our music area, there's a keyboard. The keyboard lab's being used. There's music and relaxation clubs. There are some de-stress clubs that are going on. We have, in the classrooms, we have an old school video games club. And so Mr. Jackson was able to acquire some old Atari. Remember that name? So the kids are enjoying some of the old school video clubs. Speaking of old school, there's an old school TV club, and they watch some Andy Griffiths and some Saved by the Bell and Brady Bunch. There's a movie club where they're watching G-movies. I know they were watching Bug's Life the other day. There's some things that they get to learn. There's beginner's chess, there's intermediate chess, there's an entrepreneurship club where they learn how to run a student business. There's a recycling club. A very popular club, in fact, they have to have more than one at different grade levels, is an Uno club where they're having competitions in Uno. There's a courtyard and coding club that's starting this next cycle where they're going to be cleaning up out in the courtyard, and if weather doesn't permit, then they're going to be doing some different coding activities and some animations inside. There's Puzzle Partners, and this group actually goes and sits side by side with our autistic support class, and they're doing different kinds of crafts and projects. And the neat thing about that is when you go into the cafeteria and when the autistic support group has lunch, some of those puzzle partners are right there with them at the cafeteria table, so they're friendships that they're carrying on through the school. There's a sewing club. Student council meets during that time, and all the subcommittees of student council, and then a yearbook club. So there's a variety of clubs for a variety of student interests, which I think is really neat. So in the honor of highlighting those, there's a few clubs that I haven't mentioned, and I'm going to allow some of my friends that I've made to talk about those. So first I'd like to introduce Danica Landholt Hughes and Rebecca West, who are going to share about their club involvement.
Hello, I'm Danica.
And I am Rebecca, and tonight we will be talking about a service club at YSMS called the See the Need, Take the Lead Club.
The club focuses on both needs inside and outside of the school, with 20 members all involved in some way. Members work as a small group or individually to develop, plan, and put into action volunteer efforts.
Over the 3 years this club has been at the middle school, both Danica and I have been involved. The club has already accomplished many amazing outreaches. Both Danica and I are involved with the Teacher's Assistant Program, which helps the teachers to accomplish tasks such as cutting, stapling, and decorating a bulletin board, and many other time-consuming things all teachers have to do. Danica and I are also the creators of the PSSA Bake Sale, which gives students the option each morning of the ELA PSSAs to grab a brownie, cookie, or trail mix before they sit down to take the test.
We have also helped to plan 2 stall days where students can stop class until their teacher counts all the change that class as a whole brought in. Rebecca and I have also taken over the backpack program this year and come in a few mornings a week to pack the bags that students will then take home and use as their source of food for both them and their family. There are many more programs the club offers, including our car wash, which one year raised $600 to go towards Fuel the Fire, a local nonprofit that helps families in York who have lost family members in the line of duty, building cleaning, which consists of members helping the custodians clean in the afternoons, and box top collection.
We have many more programs that will be coming up in the near future, including a trip to the York Benevolent Association to pass out food to families of York County who cannot easily afford to go to a grocery store and get food. The club took a trip here last year that Danica and I went on, and it really showed us how lucky we are to have what we have. It also gave all of the members who went a feeling of confidence that they made a difference in their community. The club also has a group that is planning on making bags to help people in the community.
The CNE Take the Lead Club is full of members who are dedicated to helping other people and has completed many activities that have helped people and continue to do so. The club is fun and makes you feel good. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. So again, you can see just very servant-oriented.
And it's great to see these kids come up with the ideas and then bring them to fruition. We also have Tori Cooper here, and Tori's going to share about the club that she's involved in, and she has a little advertising here.
Hi, I am Victoria Cooper, and I'm 7th grade, and I'm from the Athletic Club. Our club focuses on making sure that everybody feels like they are not alone, and that we always notice that there are people in the background who don't talk to someone, and we are the people who go up and speak with them, become friends, or try to become friends with everyone. We make sure that people don't, okay, sorry, I need to restart. So, our club originated in Lancaster, actually, which is close to here, where a student committed suicide. And his friends were at school, and they noticed that there were a lot of people who potentially felt that that was the only way that they could escape. And they wanted to change that. They wanted to make sure that everyone felt like they are needed, because they are. Everyone's needed, and everyone has a purpose, and you can make the biggest impact from just the smallest group of friends, and then reach out across the however far you want to go. So that is basically what our group is doing. We have had a few since our club has just started out in middle school. We have only done a few projects that reached throughout the school in the mornings. I don't think we've had one at like the end of the day, but we are planning for future ones, and as we get more members throughout the club, we are hoping that we can make a bigger impact than what we can with so few people that we have, and we are trying our best to spread the message. We have gone on the morning announcement, and any questions?
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Yes, they do a great job of trying to make everyone feel that they belong, so.
That's kind of a summation of the different clubs that we have, but before we end, I have a few more friends here that are going to give you a little advertisement about a really special event that's going to happen in about a month. So let me introduce to you Nicole Berkey and Alana, help me, Pineda. Alana Pineda.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Berkey, and I'm Alana Pineda. We're excited to be here to tell you about the middle school musical. This year's show is Frozen. I play the role of Anna, and I play the role of Elsa. We've been practicing since October under the direction of Mrs. McCullough, our art teacher, and Mrs. Venturi, our music teacher. There are about 50 students involved in the show, both on stage and off. We have a little over 4 weeks until showtime. Practices will become more intense, but we also have a lot of fun. We brought you each a flyer so you can save the date. We'd love to see you at one of our performances. Thank you.
And that concludes the middle school.
Thank you.
Questions?
Wonderful.
before, and I didn't tell them they could all go home and study when they were.
Yeah. You are welcome to sit through all of this if you want, but you can go home and study.
You guys, it's always fun to see students, so thank you, and thanks to parents for taking the time. Thank you very much.
Dr. Treadman,
Yes.
the movie club, what kind of equipment do they use? And would they be willing to accept a donation from the film vaults of the Robinson collection?
Oh, boy.
So like actual,
I bet they would.
No.
He's not that old.
VHS tape.
black and white.
Yeah.
Can't get the candles. Yeah, I'm not
Polish
sure
up their
that
own
they do have that.
Okay, great, because if they have the equipment, we've got the
You've got the
VHS
tape. Okay, very good, thank you.
He may have a sundial, too, to help him sometimes.
Ow.
I'll get you.
I know you will.
And I would also like to introduce Dr. Furman, who's here to share a little bit about all things East York.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, you do that one first. This is just going to play in the background while I talk to you. We just recently had an event that ended up with the title of "Oh, the Places You Can Go." So let me kind of back up the story here a little bit. This summer, I was reading. I don't read fiction. I'm sorry. I hear you, but I have so much to learn. So I'm hooked on the nonfiction, if you will. So I was reading, catching up on journals, magazines, and I read an article about a Texas principal, and she wrote letters to colleges to get college gear for her students. So I was like, well, she knew that, I knew that. So I started writing letters, I wrote a letter in September. Ms. Williams, my office assistant, helped me to look up addresses and mail these letters to 100 universities. And basically I told them I'm a principal of a Title I school, and that from my experience there are many roads that lead to poverty, but the only road that I know that leads away from poverty is education.
Amen.
And so with that, I asked them to help me jumpstart my students and families thinking about higher education. And so we sent this letter asking them to consider donating T-shirts and pennants to hand out to my 370 students. With that, I got numerous T-shirts and pennants, but I also got lots of stickers, pens, pencils, all sorts of stuff that we just started calling swag. So then I put it in the closet, and during some collaborative time I had with my teachers, I then went to them and said, look, okay, stole this idea, ran with it, I have all of this stuff, now what do we do with this sort of thing? And that was how, through collaborating with my teachers, how Oh, the Places You Can Go came about. And what we decided to do is we had a morning assembly, if you will, where I invited a parent who also works for Bortner Brothers. He's in charge of their hiring and their apprenticeship programs. One of my staff members connected me with 2 ROTC students attending school in Vermont. I had a guidance counselor from Yorkville Tech and a college admissions officer from Central Penn College. And the panel, when they spoke to the kids, the emphasis was, what are the characteristics and traits that they look for in employees and or students that they admit to their program? So we nicely tied that back into our spike rules and character traits that we're working on this year. From there, what we did was I invited the York Suburban senior class to come to my school and speak to my students about what they thought they wanted to be in when they were in elementary school, and then what their post-secondary plans are now. So the 7 kids who took me up on my invitation came, and they spoke to my students, and then I let them walk the halls of the building to see their former teachers. And then after that, I read some of the universities and colleges and trade schools. They sent, some of them took the time to send some really nice correspondence back. So I read that to the students to emphasize to them that it's not just their teachers and I, but this larger community that believes in their potential. And then what they did is they went back to their home rooms, and there was a gift for every student. With the gift, there was also a link to their gift schools. So the students then had to take a virtual tour of their gift schools, and they created a slideshow of what they learned, what they liked about their gift schools, and those different pieces. And so, all the places you can go, was formed from that and that collaboration. It really came together so nicely, and so we were super excited. The kids' PowerPoint, we pulled through some of the best, and all of this is linked on our webpage, and I'm going to mail the links out to the parents as well this month, so that they can take a look at what's been going on.
Will you send them out?
What's that?
Send them to the board members too, so we can call
Sure,
them.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's great, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, super excited. And then as with everyone else, in honor and recognition, I wanted to triple your salary. But, I have to play with all of the other principals as well. What we did at East York is we opted to put a video together to show our thanks to you with the help of my brand new iPhone. But we, as with everybody else, we're very appreciative of the time and energy and what you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Furman. And that concludes Dr. Williams' report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chuli.
The first item that I have is the 2021 York County School Technology Budget that we discussed at the planning session. So the administration submits the proposed 2021 York County School Technology Budget for consideration and approval.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? Were you able to find that number?
The increase over the current year is 2.54%, and that's York Suburban's share.
Okay.
Second item, the administration recommends the board approve.
Oh, look.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I forgot to put it.
Questions or comments? Then let's do a roll call vote on that.
Mr. Sears? Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mrs. Fryber?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman? Yes. Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Swett?
Yes.
Now, the second. The administration recommends the board approval of the meal agreement with High Road School of Southern York, whereas the district will provide breakfast at a cost of $2 per student and lunch at a cost of $3.75 per student, effective February 1st of 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I'd like to have, I guess, clarification on a point that I'm going to make in my report later on, which is the estimate of what that will generate for the district.
The estimate for a full year is $30,000.
Now, that's to be added, that's surplus in the cafeteria fund. Is that a way to put it?
That will be a revenue to the cafeteria fund.
Other questions or comments? Then this can be a short roll call vote.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes. The last item for vote, the administration recommends board approval of the additional bus van driver for the 2019-20 school year for Beverly Doll.
Questions or comments? This can be a short roll call vote.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes. The last item I have for you is informational. First, our donations. The Spring Garden Township donated a variety of supplies to Valley View Elementary for a total fair market value of less than $2,000. The second donation was from WellSpan York Hospital, who donated $50,000 to assist with a portion of the salary expenses for the district social worker. That was at Dr. Williams' work. The last item that I have is the food service department report. The monthly dining report and the sales report is attached for your review. I have one more item that was not listed, and that is the snow removal. At the planning session, the board had asked for an average of what the snow removal costs were for the last 4 years. So the 4-year average from 15-16 through 18-19 was $15,843 with an average of 129 hours. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Ms. Geyer.
Hi. To start, I would like to congratulate 9 York Suburban High School students who were just recently recognized by the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards for their artistic talents. They are Sindel Berman, Soraya Cooper, Avery Myers, Daisy Flum, Molly Preston, Alexandria Rosenberg, Stephen Yao, Jack Young, and CJ Zortman. One photo entitled The Myriad was taken by junior Daisy Flum and received the Gold Key Award and was nominated for the American Visions Award. So congratulations to these students and their hard work. The musical groups are currently preparing for their next concert in March. Several students from the orchestra have been practicing as part of the Musical Pit Orchestra, and others who are not part of the Musical Pit are involved on stage. They have a large number of students represented in the upcoming production of Bye Bye Birdie. This coming weekend, senior Augustine Ha will represent YS at the District Orchestra Festival at Lampeter, Strasbourg, and he will then re-audition on Thursday, January 30th, and have the opportunity to advance to the Regent Orchestra. So good luck to Augustine. And senior Bevan Fogdell had a very successful audition at the PMEA District 7 Chorus Festival. She will now move on to the PMEA Region 5 Choral Festival, which will take place at the end of February at Eastern York High School. Bevan will then have the opportunity with the prestigious honor to audition for the PMEA All-State Choir. The FCCLA has 5 students preparing to complete at the FCCLA State Conference at the end of March. The projects are rooted in the family and consumer sciences content, but the students will complete all the work independently. So good luck to these students as well. The regular winter season is winding down, and everyone is extremely fortunate that all of their teams are gearing up for postseason competition. For boys basketball, varsity is currently 13-4, as JV is 13-1, and varsity is second place in the division and in a great position to qualify for the YAIAA and District 3 playoffs. Freshman team is 5-6, and the junior high are 6-4. For girls basketball varsity, they are 12-4, and they are third in the division and in great position to also qualify for counties and the District 3 playoffs. And junior varsity is 6-5. Freshman is undefeated, 11-0, and so is junior high, 11-0. For swimming, boys varsity are currently 4-3-1, and girls varsity, who are the league champions, are 5-3. Just this past Saturday, the swimmers at the Southwestern Relays had a successful turnout, with the boys ending 5th overall, and the mixed relays of guys and girls combined getting second, and the girls team tying for third against Spring Grove. And the girls will win the Division II championships, with the boys coming in second, and both teams are posed for strong post-team showings. For wrestling, varsity boys were 15-5 and are the league champions in district team qualifiers, and junior high ended with 4-6. And for securing the first division championship in 20 years and the first outright division championship in school history, they also qualified for team districts for the first time in school history, and they will wrestle Hempfield on January 28th at Cumberland Valley at 6 p.m. The postseason will then begin in February for all winter sports. Thank you to all the individuals and staff who made themselves available to help with our events. Tomorrow, Tuesday the 28th, basketball will have their Golden event as well as wrestling on Thursday the 30th. So please be sure to come out to support the school and the Four Diamonds Foundation. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a link to the committee meeting schedule here and Personnel Committee. Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Posnell. If you haven't already, please see the addendum at the end of the agenda for an additional item under the consent agenda. You have before you the personnel report, which includes resignations, employment, extracurricular, and volunteers. Would any board member like any of these items considered separately, or are there any questions on any of these items? If not, the chair moves approval of the below-mentioned items.
Second.
Thank you.
Questions?
Not a question, but just an opportunity to recognize Mike Sneddon, who's here with us tonight. And to,
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Welcome.
Do you mind if I?
Step up.
Okay.
Did you want to vote first?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah, that might be
This is why you have an HR.
Do we have any other questions or comments?
one last chance to screw up.
That's right. This can be a short roll call vote, I think.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes.
Now we would love to hear from
Well, definitely, thank you. I am beyond excited for this. It was quite the, rigorous, comprehensive process with these two gentlemen here as well involved, which definitely made me excited because, I spent 5 years at middle school, absolutely loved it after teaching at the high school level, and I think it takes a very special person to love middle school. And so, currently I'm at the high school, but I was looking for that opportunity to go back to, to the middle school. And it's just, that moment driving home and thinking, I really want to be the right fit, because as I drove home after that second interview, I was like, because York Suburban feels like the right fit for me. And so I am definitely excited to, jump on board as we work through this transition. And I was joking, actually, we just did Frozen Junior at my middle school last weekend. So, if you believe in signs, I think this is it. So I look forward to working with all of you as we move forward.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, before concluding my report, as instructed, please recognize Mike Sneddon, sometimes known to his more intimate associates as Dr. Michael Sneddon, the new MS principal, who has a bachelor's degree in business ed from Indiana University of Pennsylvania, master's degree in educational leadership of Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania, and completing a doctorate in education from Shippensburg. And coming here with 13 years of experience. I'm going to start saying I know you. Another round of applause, please. Middle school principal, remembering what I was like in middle school, may the Lord have mercy on you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Property and Finance, Mr. Sears.
I have to follow that.
That's right, that's a tough act.
Property and Finance Committee, which is the newly reconstituted combination of what was the building, and grounds, not even saying it right. Facilities Committee and the Finance Committee. We met on January 15th, 5 p.m. here in the boardroom. Members present were Joel, Ellen, James, and Mike. John Posnell is also there, so we have 5 board members. We approved the minutes of the 11/13/2019 meeting. We welcomed Kathy to her first meeting to direct the proceedings and to give us her administrator report. 5 items on that report, first of which was a report or presentation by Hannah Barrick, who's the Assistant Executive Director of PASBO on property tax reform. She gave us a little bit of a rundown on the property tax work group findings and outlined the various proposals from that work group. There are 5 of those. And she also explained PASBO's recommended 2-part approach, the first part of which is based on what they call buckets of relief for taxpayers, schools, and students. It uses a 1.53% increase in our personal income tax, which would raise it from 3.07% to 4.6%. That would bring in $6.8 billion, and it would be used for a combination of millage reduction, homestead exemptions, and something called circuit breakers to stop increases or to provide rent subsidies for qualified seniors. The second part calls for mandate relief. So in addition to providing revenue for property tax reduction, directly it would also require the state to earmark funds for special ed and charter school costs. So we get that as a direct infusion of cash. The impact at the end of the day would increase the state share of public education in Pennsylvania from 39% to 57%, which is a pretty significant increase. Next item was discussion of a new forecasting tool called Forecast 5, which Kathy recommended that we utilize because it's able to give us great insight and a lot of analytical punch in the budgeting and financial reporting process, and it integrates well with our current system. So we recommended approval of that. The cost is $6,000 a year, and the supplier will prorate that this year to roughly $1,500. She then gave us some information that she talked about earlier today, the agreement to provide meals to the High Road School of Southern York, which would bring about $30,000 into the cafeteria fund. We got some information on the 2021 budget update. Kathy's been meeting with building admins to firm up their budgets and mentioned that adherence to class size guidelines has actually pushed the deficit to $5 million this year, so we have our work cut out for us. She also stated that we need an approved budget to start the hiring process for teachers, currently slated at 23, including 9 to meet the class size guidelines. Barry gave us a property update and discussed the $45,000 to $50,000 estimate for bleacher upgrades that were itemized in a report that we paid a couple $1,000 to get, and that's at the high school. We also got information about the sinkhole at East York, which is the result of an underground stormwater pipe failure. Right now we're investigating to see whose responsibility that is. Does that fall completely on the district, or is the township responsible for some or all of that? And finally we got an update on the high school heating plant situation, which is dire. So we need to think as a committee about earmarking money to take care of that situation. There was no public comment. Our next meeting will be on February 5th, 5 p.m. here in the boardroom. We adjourn at 6:20.
Thank you.
Joel, I wonder that was to the high school pipe heating issue was to have been worked on over MLK, I guess. I'm just curious if anybody knows if that happened and was successful.
That was a water pipe that was patched over the time between Mount
Okay,
yeah.
so it did happen and
Yeah. But that was just temporary patch on
Right.
2 of those to get us into the.
Understood. Thank you. Right.
Mr. Robinson, you're back.
Thank you very much, Mr. Posnell. I will begin my legislative update by deferring to my esteemed colleague, Mrs. Schrader, on our trip to Harrisburg for the board ceremony recognition thing.
And a good
with
time was had by all.
Representative Senator Kristen Phillips Hill. Mrs. Schrader, the floor is yours.
Well, just to share that I tagged along with Rich and shook a few hands and watched our tax dollars at work in the Senate chamber, and enjoyed the surroundings of the Capitol. It was actually my first time to ever go to the Capitol, so that was kind of cool. We tried to represent the district in a positive light. There were a number of other county districts represented, so I was glad to go along and appreciate the invitation. I mean, it was really shaking hands and taking pictures, and it was fun. Thank you.
Fun? That's how you characterize it?
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Any other?
No.
Okay. In addition to Mrs. Schrader's comment, I think it provided us with an opportunity to talk with some of our confreres at the PSBA, because while the Senate was doing what the Senate does, there was lots of downtime for us to talk to these guys and ask them about different trends, different bills, and we were also conferring with some of our fellow board members. In addition, I'd like to share some items of interest from the House. As many of you may or may not know, and I will make no editorial comment here, Speaker Mike Turzai has announced that he will not be running again. All I can say is, gee whiz. Charter schools and cyber schools are losing a firm ally. HB 1897 will require school districts to offer cyber education by 21-22. One full-time program to be offered by the school and 2 alternate programs from third-party vendors. Let's see, that's basically...
What's the number on that again?
HB 1897.
Mandatory provision of cyber school by districts?
Yes, sir. You'll be pleased to know this is another unfunded mandate. And, in case you've forgotten, which I'm sure you haven't, Advocacy Day is on March 23rd. And the PSBA is looking for a cast of thousands to join them that day. And their pitch is, body counts matter when we go to see all of these elected representatives. And I think they're absolutely right. One of the things that I think you could notice today, when our presence was announced, most of the senators who were on the floor, who were hobnobbing with each other, turned around to look at the gallery to count noses, because they wanted to see how many potential votes had come out. So, you know, in that sense, every time we show up and show the flag, if we can get the numbers there, that's a good day.
What's the date again on that, Rich?
March 23rd. And the PSBA is urging all of us who wish to go to sign up right away. Okay. If there are no questions, and I'm sure there are none, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Ms. Frerick.
Okay, before I begin with the LIU report, I'd like to report that, do a follow-up report. Last fall, I spoke to you about the water quality fee that those folks in Spring-Ferry Township might be facing come spring. Well, it appears several things have happened, not the least of which is the feds and the state have begun changing their regulations and are not sure what they're looking at or what we're supposed to be doing. In the meantime, the township decided they hit the initial estimates they have were somewhere in the neighborhood of $6 million to perform the work to get rid of 697,000 gallons of runoff in the township. They got an estimate back from some contractor for $1.9 million and decided they could afford that themselves, so they weren't going to do this fee. So where it stands now, one does not know, but you won't be getting your $50 or $75 fee this spring, just a little bit of a couple days. Lincoln Intermediate, I have actually no specific report. I did have the opportunity to meet with Dr. West, who is the new executive director of the LIU, to discuss the future of her and his vision for that. Look Adams Academy, we have our meeting tomorrow evening for our reorganization, and we will approve our budget, and we will see that it is sent out to the districts before the end of January, and hopefully be on the February agendas for review and approval. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. York Adams Tax Bureau. Thank you. Ms. Schrader, York County School of Technology.
Yes, we met last week in recognition of the school directors, the JOC, the students prepared dinner for us, and it was delish. It's always fun to, that's an annual thing where they make a very nice dinner, and at the conclusion of the dinner, the students who are working behind the scenes are lined up and introduced, and it's always fun to see the students engaged in that way. And at my table, we had a very enthusiastic young man who was a freshman who served as our waiter, and he was a lot of fun to visit with and see involved in that way. And honestly, the food was delicious. But I also wanted to share just a snippet at the meeting, students from the Hot Rodders of Tomorrow Club, that's what they're called, the Hot Rodders of Tomorrow, were present and told us a little bit about a recent competition that they won first place in a national competition. And I know we have a couple of car people in our midst, so I wanted they work on Chevy 350s and tear the engines down and put them back together to specs and for time. And it engages about 15 kids on a team, and it was, cool to see them so excited about what they do and where it takes them. And they're hosting a local competition. 3 or 4 schools from sort of our region will be at the School of Technology on April 4th. And they, went to Indianapolis for this contest, and they do the fundraising and T-shirt sales and all of that stuff to help fund the trip. They were very proud of the fact that they had 3 perfect motors in a row. So I just wanted to share that because I think, as those of you who know me are aware, it's been a really positive experience for me to sit on the JOC and acknowledge the fact that, those are our kids too, and all that goes on over there. So I've enjoyed that and wanted to just share that little snippet. I'm also taken on a new hat over there in the fact that I'm your representative to the authority. And just to clarify, the JOC does the debt service and the curriculum, the programming, and the authority holds the assets and is responsible for the building, so to speak, their assets. And as you know, they're in the process of building a new gymnasium, and apparently that work is going on successfully. They're pleased that the weather hasn't held them back, and they're doing a lot of the masonry work and all in spite of the weather. So if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. And I would encourage you get this, the Joint Operating Committee mini report is distributed electronically to you, and I would encourage you to take a couple minutes and look at that, because we just approved the budget and our contribution, and so our local money is headed down the street to the JOC, and it's, in my view at least, money well spent, and I'd like to encourage you to read that report and stay abreast of what's happening there. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. You have links here to the activities report that was described, upcoming events, and the board meeting schedule. Before we ask for final public comment, I would like to remind everybody that it's just been re-elected that we have an obligation to go online and take training. If you haven't done so, there's a link on the PSBA to do that. So consider that your friendly reminder. And this is the last opportunity for public comment.
Jamie Evans, 138 Lisa Lane, middle school teacher and YSEA president. Just wanted to publicly thank our administration, make sure the board knew. They went out of their way, Dr. Williams, Dr. Krauser, Mrs. Feely, to include the middle school teachers in the search for our new principal. Want to brag a little bit about that process. Sent an email to the teachers, told them that it would be over 2 evenings of interviews in mid-January from 4 to 8 p.m. for 2 evenings. Who would be interested? 16 teachers responded, willing to give up 2 evenings after teaching all day, which one ended up being the snow day anyway. But we were there that evening and the next evening after school. We narrowed those 16 teachers down to 8. That committee then sent a survey to our staff. Over 50 staff members responded with what their opinions were and what we needed as a building, came to a consensus, held another meeting after school to develop the questions that we wanted to ask, and in addition to those 8 team members, 12 additional staff members stayed after school to develop those questions. So just wanted to thank the board and the administration for including us. We are very excited to have Mr. Sneddon, and I think it really helped alleviate the questioning, and because we were involved, we could assure the other staff members that we definitely got the best that was there, and we're looking forward to that. In addition to that, kind of in the same lines, as a district, you've really piqued the teachers' interest with your discussion on building realignments coming up. So just in that same spirit, we're here to participate in that process when you get to that point, to give our expertise, our opinions, our experience. We're looking forward to working with the board and the administration in that realm. And finally, thank you again, as always, for a thankless job. We appreciate all the time and effort that you give. Thank you.
Jamie, please extend our thanks to this committee that took their time. I mean, it's, as you say, working all day and then being prepared to sit on additional committees is on their, free time. We appreciate it, and thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Would any of the results of the research that was described have any broader applicability to anything that any subcommittees or of the board might be interested in beyond the selection of Dr. Sneddon? There was a survey that was conducted of 50 some odd people.
Correct.
Would that be of use to us to see, or any relevance beyond that selection process in terms of school climate or anything like that?
We weren't involved in that survey.
Was that relating to?
It was just the teachers. It was questions on what character traits are we looking for in a principal, what background are we looking for, and then we just compiled, and we were pretty much in alignment, and we found someone that matches our needs.
Okay, great, thank you. It's just that I couldn't walk away from research.
Yep. Very informal research.
If there's no more public comment, I think we can be adjourned. Thank you.